Stimulus negotiations have gone back and forth for the past 7 months, even a little bit longer. But we are starting to get a glimpse of what will be in the next stimulus package. From additional federal unemployment benefits to rental assistance, food assistance, PPP funding, vaccine funding, and so much more. Congress has been working to put together a deal that will get bipartisan support. And today, I want to explain what some of those pieces are that will be included in this next stimulus package. Granted, this package will not help everybody. And that was not supposed to be the goal behind this package, was to provide every single person with some form of stimulus. Yes, stimulus checks would help greatly, but that wasn't the goal. Right now, the goal with this proposal is to provide COVID relief to the economy and get millions and millions of Americans somewhat back on their feet and get them back to work. That's the goal. It isn't to provide more funds to go and trade stocks or go buy a Christmas present. That was not what Congress is trying to do. And multiple members of Congress have stated this, that this is not a stimulus package, this is a COVID relief package, which means stimulus checks might not be included. Even though they are written in one of the proposals, they're not in both. And the actual proposal right now that is most likely going to pass isn't the one with stimulus checks. That's not the one. It was yesterday. Yesterday, everyone was saying, this is a good proposal. This could work. We could see this pass. But now that they've actually released the bill or some of the verbiage and the text of what's going to be in the bill, now it's stated the one with stimulus checks might not be the one that passes. It will be the other one. And I'll explain what's going to be in kind of the difference between those two in just a second. Right now, the plan is not to provide a fair relief package. That's not the plan. They want to provide a package that can get Congress on board, a bipartisan package that ultimately will lead to getting this thing done, getting a deal done. That's all they're worried about, is just get the deal done. And in some cases, you have some members of Congress saying, well, just take that out. If we can't get agreement there, just take it out. Even Mitch McConnell said, just take out liability protections, take out state and local government funding. If we can't agree on those pieces of legislation, just pull them out. So right now, it's not about getting the best deal possible. It's just getting a deal done. Now, this is also why negotiations have taken so long. It's because this is not being done between our leaders. It's not being done between Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi. It's being done with the bipartisan group, the Problem Solvers Caucus. That is one of the reasons why it's taking so long, because they are the ones putting together this plan, this package, and trying to get a deal done there. Once a deal is done there, then they'll submit this over to the leaders for their approval. Even Nancy Pelosi made a statement earlier today. She said, I quote, "I think that we are close. That's what they tell me, those who are negotiating." So right there, she's even saying herself, she doesn't know. That's what they are telling her. The ones that are doing the negotiation right now are telling her we're getting close. So this is good. And this is good that lawmakers are getting closer to a deal because time is running out. We've known this. The deadline was supposed to be December 11th. 2 days from today. Well, earlier today, the House approved a 1-week stopgap bill that will extend the government funding for another week. And this will hopefully allow them to come to some type of an agreement both on the government funding bill and their COVID relief package or stimulus package. And just to give you an idea of what is happening right now, this proposal that we are seeing isn't being negotiated by our leaders. Okay, I just stated that, but I want to be very clear. It's not being negotiated by our leaders because they couldn't come to an agreement. When Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell speak, they are pretty much going back and forth and bickering between their two different sides. Their two, different, kind of point of views. And that's an issue when they can't come together and do something and create a bipartisan bill. And we've known that for a while. but it's becoming more and more clear, and that's the reason why they aren't in this negotiation. The other reason why this is taking so long is because you got Mitch McConnell, you got Nancy Pelosi, got a group of bipartisan members, okay, the Problem Solvers Caucus. They're the ones putting the bill together, or this proposal. Then they got to go to Nancy Pelosi and say, hey, Nancy, would you support this? And then she has to go, oh, okay, well, let me go talk to Joe Biden, and let me talk with Chuck Schumer, and then she's going to get their input, and then she goes back to them and say, okay, here's where we're at. Okay, so that's that side. And then they got the Mitch McConnell side, where Mitch McConnell isn't necessarily going to President Trump, but what he's doing is he has to get, in some cases, he has to get a little bit of feedback from his caucus, which is mostly just Kevin McCarthy, saying, okay, here's where we're at. This is what they're saying. Could we support this? And even though Mitch McConnell isn't going to go to Kevin McCarthy every single time, in some cases he will, just to get his feedback. So they're going to different people to try to get their input, and then going back to the Problem Solvers Caucus and saying, no, we can't support that, or yes, I agree there. So that's one of the reasons why it's taking so long. And right now, the biggest obstacle that both people have to understand, and what we've come to understand as well, is the obstacle has been state and local government funding and liability protections. This is not just the new obstacle, the new hurdle we got to get over. This has been the issue for months. It has been the issue for months. And so knowing this, it makes it even that much more difficult to get a deal done, being that we know both parties are almost firm on their beliefs. Okay, Mitch McConnell says we need liability protections. Nancy Pelosi says no, we need state and local government funding. Up until today, negotiators have said that they could not come to an agreement on either one of those issues. But now they're saying that both sides have an agreement in principle to the terms of this proposal. We do not know what those terms are, because even though they released a kind of text, we didn't get any information on state and local government funding or liability protections. It's just we've heard there's agreement in principle. As far as what that is, who knows? Here is what we do know regarding those two $900+ billion COVID relief packages. One is for $908 billion. That one includes $300 per week for unemployment. It's an unemployment bonus or plus up. The other one is for $916 billion. That one includes a $600 stimulus check. Now, here's what you need to understand about both of those. First, the $908 billion proposal that includes a $300 unemployment boost. That boost does not start now. It starts on January 3rd, and it goes until April 25th. That is 16 weeks. That's how long it goes for, January 3rd through April 25th. That's great, 16 weeks, if that one gets approved. However, there's absolutely no retroactive payments here. There's no retroactive benefits, which means even though you could have been on unemployment for the past 4 months, and you could get unemployment check from, let's say, November and December, all the weeks in there, there's no retroactive payments. None. Zero. So retroactive payments in either one of these proposals is not included. That's going to hurt a lot of people. But what's currently being reported is that if, and this is just if, more people lose their jobs, which many economists predict is going to happen in the coming months, then this will actually kick in and help more people. As of right now, it's not going to help as many people, but a lot of economists are predicting that we will see more layoffs in the coming months, especially January and February. So if that happens, this will provide more stimulus to those people. Also, all pandemic unemployment assistance programs, they will be extended an additional 16 weeks as well. So they will go until April 24th. This is good news. Now, in regards to stimulus checks, okay, I want to be very clear. The packages will either have, it's either or, it's not both. It's either the $908 billion proposal that has $300 per week in unemployment benefits, the additional federal unemployment boost, or you have the $600 one-time stimulus check. That's $600 for filers, $600 for their spouse, and $600 for each child dependent. and most likely with a cap of 3 dependents. That's what we know there. And again, this will only be one or the other, either unemployment boost or stimulus check. That's what we know right now. Earlier today, Steve Mnuchin said the reason why they were hoping to go with stimulus checks as opposed to unemployment. And what he said was very simple, that unemployment would help, but it would take longer. And stimulus checks, a direct payment to the American people, would have a greater impact on the economy sooner because it's a direct payment. Stimulus checks would have provided a more blanket approach, and in that case would have helped out more people get back to work faster. As to how stimulus checks get people back to work, it's simple. When business, and again, it doesn't have to do with COVID. Based on what Steve Mnuchin is saying, it has nothing to do with COVID. It's just, let's give people a check. That means, okay, they have a check, they can go and spend it to go to this restaurant or that restaurant, unless you live in California, or they can go to this gym, or they can go shop there or wherever, spend money. And by spending money, then those businesses would go and hire more people. Those people would go and spend their money on other things, and it would slowly kind of trickle up, and the economy would start to grow, get back to where it once was. That's the kind of goal here. However, it would take longer in that case, or as far as unemployment benefits, it would take longer if you give them the unemployment check. They go and spend their money, and it slowly trickles in. So that's the reason why. His exact statement, okay? Let me give you the exact statement. He says, by sending out checks, we're putting money into the economy for people. This will have the impact of creating demand, which will have the impact of creating jobs. We want to get people their jobs back. That's his exact quote. Now, let's get into the rental assistance and the federal eviction moratorium extension. Let's talk about those things because those are two very important things that many of you have been asking about. So let's address that. First off, it's $25 billion that will go to rental assistance. That is what's in there. This program is going to allot 90% of these funds. That's going to go to rent arrears, and also utilities. Okay, so that means that 90%, that's what, $22.5 billion. That's going to go to those things. The other 10% is going to go to something else. This program is going to prioritize, again, this is key. Okay, understand this. This program is going to prioritize households with a 50% area median income or below. So if you make over 50% of the area median income, you will not be prioritized, but you can still receive some of this benefit. Just keep that in mind. The reason for this verbiage is being used to prevent people that have just stopped paying their rent, and will only help those that have actual need, those that are a low-income household. That's what's currently being said. That's currently what's in this proposal. So as of right now, this is good news. It's not just going to go and then we're going to spend $25 billion and give it to somebody that maybe makes a very good income, but they just stop paying their rent because they want to take some of that money and put it in the stock market, or take some of that money and just save it for a rainy day. They've actually been impacted. So that is good news. This piece of legislation would also extend the eviction moratorium through January 31st. The reason for this date is actually pretty simple. They want to keep it to January 31st because one of the things that Joe Biden has said is he would most likely provide an additional eviction moratorium. So they just want to kind of push us into the next administration. And as soon as it's looking like Joe Biden will be coming in on January 20th, as soon as that happens, he would most likely have some type of executive order that would extend that date. So that's one of the things we know regarding that. But again, being that these are some of the most important pieces of legislation that you guys have said you want, this is one of the reasons why I asked earlier today, what is the most important piece of legislation within these proposals? Is it stimulus checks? Is it unemployment? Is it renters assistance, housing assistance, food assistance, PPP funding, state and local government funding? What is it? And the majority of you guys said the exact same things. Stimulus checks, unemployment benefits, rental assistance. Those are the three things. So I wanted to touch on all those right here, right now, just give you a clarification as to what is currently being said and what's currently going on. We could see this whole thing just blow up. Okay? And that is what some people are anticipating, that if we can't get state local government funding included in a package and have it agreed upon. Right now it says it's an agreement in principle, but that doesn't mean anything. We have to see it pass. And right now Nancy Pelosi could blow this entire thing up simply because there's limited state and local government funding. We also know Mitch McConnell is not opposed to pulling out liability protections, but right now liability protections and state and local government funding are tied together. If one passes, they both pass. If neither one gets approved, neither one gets approved. They both will be thrown out. And if that happens, Nancy Pelosi will not support a stimulus package, at least not at this point. Based on what we know, Nancy Pelosi will be completely opposed to passing a stimulus package or COVID relief package if there's no state and local government funding. Mitch McConnell is a little more open. So we'll see what happens with that. But right now, that is what we know. And hopefully this video helps you out and kind of clarifies as to how things are kind of progressing. So consider subscribing so I can continue to keep you updated on everything that's going on regarding stimulus. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.